Hello and welcome into the ONTV Fantasy Football League podcast. I'm your host, Joey Tysick, and across from me, as always, is Joe Johnson. And we're already into week 6. We technically skipped last week's recap, but I think things have gotten so busy. But we got our first bye week. I think most people kind of went unscathed for the most part. A few big names here and there, and then we only have 2 more teams this week on bye. And then I think it's next week where it gets bigger.
I don't understand the logic behind the bye week scheduling. Like, why only 2 teams this week? And then later on, there's 8 or 10 teams on a bye week? That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, it's confusing, that's for sure. And especially with the international games as well. There's games all over the place. We have a Thursday night game tonight. We have the international game. I think it's in London again. That's on Sunday morning at 9:30 for us. Then we have the 1 o'clock games, the 4 o'clock games, the 4:25 o'clock games, the Sunday night games. And I think there's only one Monday night game this week.
I think I heard there's a doubleheader Monday, but I'll double check. Yeah.
I know there is the following week because the Lions play a Monday night doubleheader.
Wow.
But I can't remember if it's this week or not.
I'll take a look. You just keep talking.
So yeah, I want to go over the standings from the previous week that we didn't go over first, just briefly to mention where everybody was at going into this week. So last week, Marie beat me. Sammy continued his 4-0 start. He beat Becky, who has kind of fallen off since the beginning of the season, but she's had injuries galore. She had Malik Neighbors go down in week 4. And then Tracy, she continues to kind of be on the upswing.
She's a juggernaut. I put up some pretty decent points last week, but she just destroyed me.
Yeah, and then Ian took care of business against Malik. Malik's been also having some bad luck. So Sammy was sitting at the top and was looking really good for a while until this past week. And we get to the recent week of week 5, and I was able to face off against Sammy. This was a huge week for me. I needed the win, basically, with the way my team was looking, and I knocked him off. I beat him 167 to 150, and I had one of my best weeks in a while, and it didn't even come from my quarterback.
You know, that seems to be the trend this season is 150 points would have beaten 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 other teams in this league, but he just so happened to face you.
Yeah, but I don't feel bad for him because he was starting to get a little bit cocky. He did say that this game humbled him a bit and that he's got to kind of reset. But it was a fun matchup either way. I mean, both of us, we had guys playing all over the place and going off at different times, and it wasn't over until after Monday night. Kyler Murray and Justin Herbert kind of did meaningless things overall. Jamar Chase finally had a huge game. He was up against the Lions, got a lot of points in garbage time, ended up with 2 touchdowns, 110 yards. The breakout of the early season, Emeka Egbuka had 163 yards with 7 catches and a touchdown. And that was kind of the biggest part of my lineup. And then, Sammy having Christian McCaffrey, who's been basically a wide receiver. I think we looked at the stats. He's a top 10 wide receiver on the year for fantasy without any running stats. So that's been wild. Devon Achane, he had another solid game. He's been doing about 15 to 18 points a week. And then Javonte Williams also been a big surprise of the season. He put up almost 27 points with 135 rushing yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 on the ground and 1 in the air. Travis Kelce for Sammy actually gave him a chance. I was actually a little nervous going into Monday night. I had about a 50-point lead into Monday night, but Xavier Worthy and Travis Kelce going, with Travis Kelce getting an early touchdown, made me just a little bit nervous.
That's the most points he's put up in a while.
Yeah, he finally kind of had a good game. McBride, for me, didn't really do a whole lot. The Cardinals looked awful. We've talked about that ad nauseum off the air, but the Cardinals just looked miserable. Tedero McMillan still kind of looking for that breakout rookie performance. And then Rachaad White, he was great starting for Bucky Irving this past week. He also got 2 touchdowns. Didn't do a whole lot on the ground, but had a few catches that helped. And then Cortland Sutton, he had a really good catch towards the end of the game, helped Denver come back to beat Philadelphia last week. And then my biggest blunder of the week basically was just picking up the Rams defense against the 49ers. I thought Thursday night, they're playing the 49ers on a short week. The 49ers are basically playing all backups. How could it go wrong? And they lost. And they didn't really get any pressure on Mac Jones. Mac Jones looked great all night. So kind of a little disappointing there from that end. Sammy did leave Ladd McConkey on his bench. Didn't really make a difference, but he finally had a good game with a touchdown.
Did you see there was a touchdown called back, too? I think it was like a short kick return or something that he reached the end zone and it got called back on a penalty.
Yeah, he had I think it was like a punt return touchdown or something that there was a holding call on it or something. So that was like the only difference, but in the end, it didn't make much. So that kind of saves my season, puts me at 2-3 now. We'll look at the standings afterwards, but man, that was a huge win to knock Sammy off. The same week that the NFL lost both of their undefeated teams, our league knocked off the undefeated team. So it was a bad week to be an undefeated team around any league. Next up, we have Tracy against Marie, which also came down to Monday night, was very close basically the whole way through. Jalen Hurts had a great game for Philadelphia, even though they lost. Bo Nix was solid as well, so they had 2 quarterbacks in that game. And then 2 of the most solid wide receivers of the season so far, Jackson Smith-Njigba and Puka Nacua, both having great games. Marie needed 30 points from Stephon Diggs on Monday night, and he actually got pretty close. The only thing he was missing was a touchdown, and he would have got there. And I made a bet with Marie because she was not feeling it. She didn't think she had a chance. I said, okay, well, if you win the game, you have to get like a tattoo of the number 14, which is Stephon Diggs' original number.
Yeah.
It's also her favorite number, so she said deal. And it was really close to happening, which was really funny. And then Jonathan Taylor, of course, he's been a monster throughout this whole early season. Jahmyr Gibbs doing what he does, getting a touchdown, but being outclassed by his running back teammate, David Montgomery, in a homecoming game for him playing in Cincinnati with his sister in attendance. Was a really cool story to watch.
Yeah, that was pretty moving stuff to have him throw a touchdown in that game, and I think I had read that that was his sister's first time seeing him play in person. So that's a really great story.
Yeah. And then this was the big debacle. Zach Ertz. Jaden Daniels was coming back for this game for the Commanders. Zach Ertz has been basically one of his number 1 targets, and he got 1 target for 0 points.
Did you see the stat on that? That's his first game without a catch in 11 years.
Wow. Yeah.
First game. You think, as the game was winding down, you think someone would have said, hey, wait a second, Ertz doesn't have a catch.
Yeah.
Let's just throw a little 5-yard dump off to him. But to end that streak, that's
it was brutal because it's part of the reason Marie lost this matchup. It was part of the reason I lost in one of my leagues, and it was very frustrating because I went back and forth on who I was going to start. Went with the wrong choice, of course, and that's how it worked out for Marie as well. But she did get a big game from Deebo Samuel, 24 points. He's been a kind of a surprise this year to be very consistent, actually. She had to play Breece Hall, even though she didn't want to, but it worked out for her. Got 17.5 points. And then Tracy's flex positions didn't do a whole lot, but again, her special teams did well. Brandon Aubrey having 7 points is solid. And then the Detroit defense getting 3 interceptions early really helped, getting 10 points from them. So that was kind of the difference in that game. And I don't think there was really anything on the bench. Oh, Marie did. She did bench Dak Prescott, which was surprising. But it's hard when you have Jalen Hurts.
Yeah.
As well as Dak Prescott is playing.
Yeah, Prescott's been on fire lately, and I'm no Dallas fan, as you know, but he's had the hot hand lately.
Yeah, and unfortunately for Marie, that would have been the difference. She would have won had she played Dak Prescott. But that's the hard part about fantasy football. I keep saying it, in this 8-team league, the thing that I've found is kind of enjoyable is that it's hard to decide who is going to be the guy to play each week.
Yep.
Moving on, we have the next matchup is Malik and Becky. Malik finally getting a win, beating Becky, like I said, who's kind of struggling as of late. Patrick Mahomes has been kind of resurgent this year, honestly. 26 points from him.
He had that rushing touchdown, and
Yeah.
the way the games played out in Week 5, Mahomes was sort of the last player going on Malik's squad, and if he had a poor showing, Becky had a chance. But by the time I got home and turned on the game, Mahomes had run for a touchdown and threw for a touchdown, so it was over early. There was no drama there.
Yeah, I had again, same thing happened to me in my ESPN league. I was up against Mahomes. I was like, okay, maybe he'll struggle a little bit, and then he scores right away, and then he struggles after those scores, but it was already too late.
I'd rather have it be done early than my trend is I always lose in the last 2 minutes of the Monday night game. That's always my thing. Like I have a chance. He scored a touchdown. I'm done.
Right. Yeah, that just hurts a little bit more. Their wide receivers, neither one really did much. Nico Collins and George Pickens was solid for Malik. Devontae Adams had kind of a down week this week, even though he got 88 yards. Jerry Jeudy's been kind of awful this year.
Well, the Browns, they're just a mess.
Yeah. Saquon Barkley finally had a pretty good game. He had a receiving touchdown, still not getting much yardage, but he got almost 18 points. 11 from Chase Brown, who's been, I would say, the biggest disappointment on the season, where most people drafted him. And then Malik had 4.7 points from his running backs because Chuba Hubbard was announced out. And we'll get to Malik's bench, but he had nobody to replace him and not really any good drop options. He played Travion Henderson, who didn't really do a whole lot. And then the tight ends were kind of a big surprise for both of these teams. Sam Laporta finally, again, having a really good game. David Njoku, with the rookie quarterback for Cleveland starting, looked really solid. Rashid Shaheed had a huge game, 21 points. Garrett Wilson doing good. Jalen Waddle having a really good game with Tyreek Hill out. And then Kaimi Fairbairn, this is where I say, special teams can sometimes help you in fantasy, that he got 18 points kicking with 2 50-yarders. Really helped him secure the win. And then, like I said, on the bench, Malik had Brian Thomas Jr., who's been struggling, Bijan Robinson, who had a bye, A.J. Brown, who's also been struggling, DeAndre Swift, who you don't want to drop, Tucker Kraft. You could say that you could have dropped the Pittsburgh defense for a running back, but I guess that would be debatable.
That's a tough thing when the bye weeks kick in, is with all the major injuries we've had this season, you could find yourself in a position where you have a horrible mix of bye weeks and injuries, but you don't want to drop somebody, and so sometimes you have to take that zero. And he got really lucky that he still managed to pull off a win despite getting a zero from Hubbard. So
tough one there. And then finally, I don't know how this keeps happening, but
why am I always the finally?
The game of the week. Joe Johnson and Ian Witherspoon, 139 to 114. Joe, I'll let you break this one down for me.
I was really happy with my team. This is my second win in 3 weeks, so keeping my hopes alive.
On the upswing.
Daniel Jones, I picked him up when he was really, really hot, and he's, of course, cooled off since I've picked him up. Fields had a really nice game, 25 points on the other side of the ball there.
A lot of that was in garbage time, too, or during comeback time.
Yeah. The Vikings, Justin Jefferson over in London, they seem to fare pretty well across the pond, as they say. He had 19 points for Ian's team. I don't know what to do about J-Mo. He has been disappointing week after week after week, and I want a Lion on my squad, and I leave him in the starting lineup, but he only got me 2 points.
Yeah.
And I just don't know what to do.
In a fantastic matchup, too. Like, this is one of the worst defenses, and they couldn't get him going, I guess.
This might, be the ultimatum where, this week, if he doesn't put up some points this week, he might get relegated to the bench. My strategy with Addison has really worked out well. I drafted him despite knowing he was going to miss the beginning of the season.
Mm-hmm.
He's come back looking really, really sharp, putting up points, caught a game-winning touchdown, put up 15 points.
And he sat the first quarter.
Oh, did he?
Yeah,
I
don't know.
That. Was there a reason behind that?
Supposedly, the rumor is, and I haven't heard any full details on it, but supposedly he missed warm-up or something. He was out perusing London, and so they sat him for the first quarter. So for him to have that kind of game missing one quarter is pretty good.
Yeah. St. Brown put up decent points despite not getting into the end zone, which kind of hurt me in my parlay. I had him down for a touchdown, which was the difference between me winning and losing a parlay.
Yeah.
But to put up 18 points and not score a touchdown, that's impressive.
Yeah.
Scatabo, he apologized to the Giants fans. He had a fumble that was taken back in the opposite direction for a touchdown, and he's been playing fairly well. He put up 14 points, but he's made some rookie mistakes, and hopefully he'll learn from them. Cook, who's been playing really, really well on Ian's team.
I think he was the number one running back going into this week.
Yeah, and couldn't crack 5 points this week against a New England defense that isn't all that great, so I'm not quite sure what happened there. A lot of people on with Marks on Ian's team, a lot of pundits were saying he's the hot waiver wire pickup, but he didn't even put up 3 points this week.
Yep.
Genty's finally coming on strong. He's strung together several nice performances. Gave me 15
and especially
points.
they're starting to throw him the ball, which I think is key.
Yeah, and like some
going.
deep, not just screens, but like down the field, which is exciting. Ferguson, I think I mentioned this on our last podcast. He's been one of the biggest surprises of the draft. He's the number one tight end in fantasy by far right now, and I have him in 2 or 3 leagues, and he put up another 23-point game, almost 24 points. He's been just a plug-and-play player. You just leave him in there until the bye weeks roll around.
Right.
Kincaid put up 16 points, had a nice game. I was kind of watching him and hoping he wasn't going to do more, but 16's a lot. Quentin Johnston, who's been having a resurging season, he failed to crack 7 points against Washington. Kyron Williams, biggest game of the season. This is the reason I drafted him, is 31 points. Despite some major mistakes that he made, right? He had a nasty fumble at the goal line, and he couldn't get a first down on the 4th and 1, and was really beating himself up on the sidelines. But, he put up 31 points. What more can you ask of the guy? But imagine the day he would have had if he would have scored that touchdown and if they would have continued that drive.
Right.
Wan'Dale Robinson, he was hot for a little bit, but the Giants have been really struggling moving the ball in the air with Dart, so he failed to crack 10 points. Cooper Kupp, he had quite a few catches this week, 11 points. That might be his single-game high this season. I could be wrong on that, but
I think it is.
Yeah, I'd like to see him.
Oh, no, he did. In week 2, he had 16 points.
Okay, all right.
But it's one of his better games,
Yeah. Little, my Jacksonville kicker, put up 9 points. I don't know if he had any misses. I don't remember, but
I don't believe so.
And Schrader, Ian's
got
kicker,
hurt.
Yeah, he got injured. He's on IR, so he's going to have to hit the waiver wire and replace his kicker. My Minnesota defense, who put up a lot of points the week before, only managed 3 against Cleveland.
Yeah.
Come on, man. You got to give me more than 3 points against Cleveland. And Buffalo only put up 6.
Yeah.
My mistakes, Mayfield, who I think was questionable last week, they eventually removed the questionable tag.
Yeah.
And he played healthy and put up almost 27 points. Kind of wish I would have started him.
Yeah.
Nothing else on my bench really that would have made a difference.
Yeah. And Ian just kind of had some bad luck along with just bye weeks and injuries. Lamar Jackson was injured. Josh Jacobs had a bye. Like we mentioned, James Cook had a down game. Quentin Johnston had a down game. So kind of unlucky for him, but a win is a win, and you need it in this league.
Yeah, we on the Thursday of week 5 is when my running back Kyron Williams put up 30 points, and
Right.
Ian was already conceding on Thursday. And be careful when you say it out loud to the universe;
Yeah.
it might manifest. So.
Right. It's always tough seeing that too. And you go Thursday night and you got players going, and your players do bad or your opponent's players do really well. It just does not start your week off well. That's why this week I'm not even starting any players in the game tonight.
Oh, I have some players going.
Yeah,
Thursday
your week's
night.
gonna go one way or the other right away
Exactly.
this week. So looking at week 6 and the standings, we have a tie up at the top, decided by points at the moment. But Tracy is in first just because of point standings. Sammy's now in second, technically. Ian at third place with 3 and 2, and then the rest of us basically at 2 and 3, and then there's Malik at 1 and 4. Malik has some really bad luck. He's got the second most points against, and he's kind of middle of the pack for points scored, but he's been struggling with that a little bit. Like I said, Becky's on a 3-game losing streak, which is tough. Meanwhile, Tracy dropping game 1 is now on a 4-game winning streak. So the standings just keep flying back and forth, which is making it a lot of fun.
Yeah, and the thing is, all the way down the 7th place, which is me, we're only 2 games out of it. So it's still anyone's league.
Yeah. So looking up the matchups this week, I'm playing Becky right now. I'm projected 143 points to 118. I don't think I have any lineup decisions really to make. I think I'm going to go back to Jaden. I went back to Jaden Daniels. I decided to drop Justin Herbert just because their offensive line has been hurting. They lost Orion Hampton. I just think their offense might take a step back. So I dropped him. I picked up Calvin Ridley, who's actually starting to play well again, just for some depth. But other than that, I don't think I'm going to make up any lineup decisions from here on out. The only one I was guessing about was maybe playing Quinshawn Judkins, or if I should play maybe Travis Etienne, or even maybe Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt. Brock Bowers looks like he's not going to play again this week, so that's been a real brutal thing for my team lately. And then Becky and I were kind of talking. I didn't want to tip my hand one way or the other because I'm playing her this week. But she's going through the controversy of does she play Jared Goff because he's playing Sunday night, which is a fun game to watch. Also having Sam Laporta. Or does she go back to Josh Allen after Jared Goff's kind of tailed off? He hasn't had to do a whole lot in these games.
Yeah, but, when the Lions are going in prime time, it's kind of fun to have him as quarterback.
And that's kind of what her and I were talking about. It's hard to go away from that when you want to watch that game. Other than that, I don't think she has too many things to really change in her lineup. She's got Jordan Mason on a bye, so she's got to deal with that. And then, of course, she's got Tyreek Hill and Malik Neighbors, who she lost to injury, which is just brutal. Both of them out for the season. So she's just kind of making do with the team that she has.
What is Rice back?
Rice should be back the following week.
The following week?
Yeah, so it's 6-game suspension, so he should be back next week. And he might be immediately a number 1 wide receiver. And that's what I'm banking on because that's why I drafted him.
Yeah.
And he could really help my team if he comes in and just plays really well right off the gate. But we'll see. Next up, we got Joe versus Malik. At the moment, Malik's team is a mess. He's got a lot of buys and things. So he's got to go through his lineup and figure out who he's going to play. I did see that you picked up Matthew Stafford this week.
Yeah, and I don't know if you noticed, the crazy thing is I still have 2 quarterbacks on my bench. So I have 3 total quarterbacks. So this might be a 1-week experiment, see how it goes. Stafford's been playing really, really well, and he's playing a really awful Baltimore defense this week. Yeah. If he has a good game, gives me 3 touchdowns, 300 yards, then I'll be dropping one of my other 2 quarterbacks. Yeah. But that's the biggest change I made this week, is to take a roll of the dice with Stafford. As of right now, I still got J-Mo in at wide receiver.
Yeah.
So Irving is still going to be out another week, I heard. So he's
that's what it's
still
like.
on my bench. I did. Today, I noticed that Barner wasn't picked up as a tight end, and he's been sort of on fire the past couple of weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I have Ferguson as my starting tight end, so I picked up Barner as insurance for when bye weeks impact my lineups. But
right.
I'm like, okay, I'm going to pick him up and just stash him for now.
Yeah, which isn't a bad idea.
And I'm streaming defenses again this week. Hasn't worked out all that well for me, but I picked up Green Bay as they take on Joe Flacco and the Cincinnati Bengals.
Yeah, it should be a good matchup. You never know. Sometimes teams are inspired with new players, even though, Joe Flacco's been in the league forever, but he did beat Green Bay earlier in the year with Cleveland. Wasn't really behind his arm, but now he's got Jamar Chase and T. Higgins to throw to rather than Jerry Jeudy. So he could provide something for their offense. You never know.
What are you predicting Mahomes is going to do against the Lions?
I think he's going to be fine. I think he's going to be good. I don't think he's going to be as crazy as he has been. I do think the Lions will be able to figure him out a little bit. It does worry me, though, with Xavier Worthy and the Lions having a banged-up secondary at the moment, that could be troublesome. But I really love the way that they've been playing running quarterbacks, and we've seen Patrick Mahomes run a bit more this year. So I'm hoping they kind of put a little quarterback spy on him, keep him contained.
This is a Lions statement game. I mean, we're playing the Chiefs.
Mm-hmm.
If they put up 35 points like they have been week after week, they're going to be making a statement that they're going to be going deep into the playoffs again.
And if they win, that's back-to-back primetime losses for the Chiefs.
Yeah.
And the Chiefs will now be at 2-4 on the season, which would be wild.
Yeah. So this is the Lions' chance to make that statement that they're a contender.
Malik is going to get Bijan Robinson back, so he's probably going to sit. I don't know. I guess he'd have to sit Chuba Hubbard.
Yeah, Hubbard's got the question.
Possibly going to play. He probably put in both Bijan and DeAndre Swift back into his lineup, and then replacing Nico Collins. He's either got to pick A.J. Brown tonight or go with Brian Thomas Jr. on Sunday. Both are tough calls. Both could have good games, but both could also have terrible games.
Looking back on the draft, one of my biggest regrets was not getting Bijan in any of my leagues. I really, really wanted him this year, and I got him in none of my leagues. So
it's
I
tough.
hope he's not the one that causes my loss this week.
It's tough, though, in regular drafting league that if you don't get a high enough pick, it's just out of your hands mostly. Then we have we have Ian versus Marie. At the moment, Marie is projected 136 over Ian 123. Again, Ian's still kind of dealing with some injury issues, got a lot of questionable tags across the board, but I don't believe he has. Oh, he does have Justin Jefferson on a bye, so that's a big deal. Lamar Jackson shows that he's getting projected points, but I don't think he's expected to play. Marie can bring Drake London back into her lineup. She can bring Roma Dunze back into her lineup. So her team's starting to look pretty strong, and I don't know who she would sit for those guys. She'll probably sit Breece Hall. He's got a bad matchup, and she still technically doesn't really like him, so she'll probably go with that.
You notice they've already awarded her 10 points for her defense? Are you seeing that?
It's not on mine. No.
Oh, I see 10 points awarded to her. I'm like, who's she get points from? And they've already – because this league, they give every defense 10 points at kickoff, and then they subtract points, which I don't really care for.
So she's got to pick whether she's going to go with Jalen Hurts this week or Dak Prescott. Jalen Hurts obviously playing tonight, so that's a decision she'll have to make rather soon. But this should be a fun matchup, I think.
There's
actually
a lot of red on Ian's side of the ball.
That's what I was saying. He's got a lot of questionable tags.
Wow.
But we'll wait till tomorrow. Tomorrow's the big day for injury reports, and then the matchup of the week. And this is not the WEAK. This is the regular week. The two top teams in the league, we got Sammy and Tracy. Sammy at the moment projected 140 over Tracy 134. Big thing for Sammy right now, though, is Kyler Murray questionable. It's at the moment it's trending the wrong direction. That Kyler Murray might not play in this game. He's got Marvin Harrison Jr. So that hookup could be affected a little bit. But they have Jacoby Brissett as their backup, so he's not too bad.
He doesn't have a backup quarterback, so
So
if
he'll have to
Murray
hit
doesn't get the go, he's going to have to pick something up off the waiver wire.
Yeah. At the moment, Tracy's going with Drake May over Bo Nix for her quarterback slot. Drake May playing really good as of late, and he's got New Orleans this week. Puka Nacua, easy start against Baltimore. Jacoby Myers, Jonathan Taylor, really solid picks. It looks like both lineups are set. The only thing I would question, and maybe this is do or die week for him, but Derrick Henry. What do you do with Derrick Henry?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, without their quarterback, they just don't look like the same team. And you would think Henry could step it up and carry the load, but that has not been the case. But I mean, he's Derrick Henry. It's tough to bench him. I think anyone who has Henry has to be thinking about a trade.
Yeah,
because you don't want him on your bench, but maybe you can get something for him.
Right. And then Sammy's bench, he's got a lot of good players down there, but a lot of questionable tags similar to Ian. So if he's looking to replace somebody, put somebody else into his starting lineup, he'll have to wait till full injury reports come through. Yeah. Again, tomorrow's usually the big day for injuries to see where players are at. And then Tracy, I don't think she has too many big decisions. CD Lamb is most likely back next week. The only thing I could think of is maybe Zay Flowers because they're most likely going to be behind the Rams. But again, she's got Devontae Smith going up against the Giants defense, who's not very good. Keenan Allen, who's just been very solid.
You have a deep team if you got David Montgomery on your bench. Because he's always going to be good for possibly a touchdown. And it's shocking to see him on the bench right now.
Yeah. But again, when you got Jonathan Taylor, maybe Kenneth Walker, but Kenneth Walker's typically given more opportunities than David Montgomery for the most part.
Yeah.
So yeah, that'd be a tough decision. But either way, so those are the matchups this week. Getting pretty crazy, like I said, in the standings. This one is a big week for the top of the standings. See who can take first place outright. And then everybody trying to break away from that 2 and 3, and you don't want to be on the bottom side of it.
Yeah.
Like I said, I'm playing Becky, so that's a big matchup for us. If either one of us loses, that's going to hurt us in the standings. And then you playing Malik is big too because that's a big swing one way or the other.
Yeah. We're both bottom dwellers right now, but if I win, and I don't want to jinx myself, but I'm content being at 3 and 3. He drops to 1 and 5.
Yeah,
that's
because
tough.
Yeah, because one of me or Becky is going to lose. So if you get a win, you immediately jump out of that bottom 2, which is what you want to avoid in this league. And then Marie having a chance to also go to 3 and 3, the same as Ian. Having those records tied would be pretty good as well. So again, trying to make some separation on the season, but
yeah.
That's where our season stands right now. Again, bye weeks are only going to get worse as we go along. But good luck to everybody.
I did look up the NFL schedule. There are 2 games on Monday.
Yeah, I saw that the
7:15 and an 8:15.
The Atlanta game was at 7:15, so that's usually
So Buffalo and Atlanta at 7:15. Bears, Washington at 8:15.
Yeah, so this is the time where, we know what teams are like at this point, so we can see trends. So keep hitting the waiver wire if you need to. Of course, in this league, there's always going to be quality options to replace guys. But this is the point, too, where, like I said, last week, if I would have lost, I might have had to start looking at trades. This is where teams, you might have to start shopping players around if you're going the wrong direction. You mentioned Malik having Bijan Robinson. That's a big trade asset. There's possibility there that if he loses this week, you might have to try to move on and bolster your team up a little bit. But
I wanted to get your opinion on something in the other league that I'm in that we're both in. I got a trade offer today that included I have Scadaboo, and someone wanted Scadaboo and offered Jalen Waddle. And I thought about it, and the reason I said no is because I don't have the running back depth to cut Scadaboo. Now, if he would have offered me another running back, I might have considered it, if I thought it would improve my team. But I can't with, like you said, with the big bye weeks coming up, I can't shallow up my running back pool.
Yeah.
So I had to decline it.
Yeah.
What would you have done in that situation?
Yeah, okay, so the only difference that I think I would have made, so you have Kyron and Ashton Genty in that league, correct? Yeah. And you don't have anybody else after Scadaboo?
Let me take a look here.
Because Jalen Waddle could be really good. Now, the Dolphins, they're kind of a mess. But he had a big week last week without Tyreek Hill.
Yeah, the other backs on my team, and this is a disaster. I got Miles Sanders, who I think he might have gotten hurt last week. I'm not sure.
Yeah, he's not even. He didn't play last week.
Tyler Algier, who even though he scored a few touchdowns,
he's a good handcuff. He's a good handcuff.
Yeah, and Gorendo from the Niners, who I don't even know if he's getting any.
I don't think he's even the backup anymore.
So how do I get rid of Scadaboo, knowing that's my running back depth? So.
Yeah.
So it wasn't a bad offer, but I just can't afford one of my top three.
Yeah, I almost would have thought maybe. Again, it's hard because I know you have Jameson Williams in that league as well.
Yeah, and he's on my bench right now.
But like maybe you do Scadaboo and JMO for Waddle and one of his backup running backs or something like that. Yeah, maybe that could have been a counter offer. But I was in the same scenario, so I got a trade offer as well. It looks like our big league is starting to offer trades. I had somebody ask for Baker Mayfield. I have Baker Mayfield and Dak Prescott. So I have 2 top 5 quarterbacks. And I was offered DK Metcalf. And, I like DK Metcalf. Don't love the Pittsburgh Steelers. But he just hasn't been getting the catches this year. And I like where my depth is at in this league right now.
Yeah.
Where once the bye weeks hit, I have Dak and Baker Mayfield. I also have Mike Evans that's going to come back from injury, so I could have the hookup at some point.
He's been upgraded, even though doubtful
I don't think
much
he's
of an
upgrade,
but he's going to be back soon.
Yeah. But I already have Devontae Adams in that league. I have Tedoroa McMillan, who's been doing solid.
I mean, the last couple of weeks in that league, you've put up like 160 points.
Yeah.
So,
and I like, again, normally in most circumstances, I would kind of say that I would do that kind of trade because that quarterback is an expendable piece. But having 2 top 5 quarterbacks, I already have Christian McCaffrey and Jonathan Taylor, who are top 2 basically running backs. My depth is just so good. Plus, I have a couple backup running backs like RJ Harvey that may eventually get some time. I have Rashad White, who's been really good when Bucky's been absent.
Use them while you can until
that's been my biggest problem is I haven't really been able to put Rashad White into my lineup because of the players. Oh, I have Xavier Worthy. That's my other wide receiver that I'm going to play because he's on Sunday night, and I do think he could have some good plays against the Lions. But
your team kind of reminds me of my 2021 squad where I had the number 1 quarterback, the number 1 running back, the number 1 wide receiver, the number 1 tight end. It's the stars are aligned. Yeah, I
just don't have like a top tier wide receiver, but I have the depth, which I would much rather have at the moment.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's tricky making trades, but again, I just challenge people to make trades or offer trades. It's fun to do, fun to change your team up, especially when you're struggling to try to just get a different mindset for your team sometimes. So. Yeah, it's fun.
And I know I'm going to be targeted because in that league I'm 0-5, and people are going to be like, well, what do you got to lose?
Right. Well, and that's why I said, though, if people start coming to you, there's always a possibility that because you have good running backs of Kyron Williams and Ashton Genty, if you can figure out a trade that works to get like a 2-for-1 for one of those guys, it might be reasonable to do that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But again, it's tough. But that's week 6 preview in the books.
Yep.
And like I said, bye weeks are only going to get worse. But this is the part where seasons get fun because you're starting to – the standings are kind of starting to take shape.
Yeah.
So good luck to everybody in week 6, and we'll be back next week for the recap.
All right.